Alright, so after 5 years, I'm finally back at Carowinds. First time I came, wasn't a huge B&M fan at the time, so like Fury 325 didn't really interest me. But I've come to really like B&Ms now, especially living in Florida where we got some really good B&Ms. And I really want to give Fury another chance. Like, I'm really excited to ride it again. Alright, so finally back at Carowinds. It's just an interesting feeling. It's been 5 years since I've been at this park. 5 years. Been to a lot of Cedar Fair parks since then, done overseas parks. So I'm curious to see how my opinion changes on this park, because I really liked Intimidator and Fury kind of equally. So I'm curious to see if I like one or the other more, because I really couldn't decide last time if I like Intimidator or Fury more. I think they're both just, they're kind of in that middle tier for the B&M hypers for me. I think they're really good, but they're not Mako and they're not Hollywood Dream. So I'm kind of curious to see if my opinions change this time around. Still starting up everything for the morning. We are in here before opening. I'm thinking of also going the Copperhead first, because it is the low capacity coaster in the park, or at least lower capacity. I might do Nighthawk tomorrow as first thing, because this one probably the lowest capacity in the park, honestly. And considering it's in the front of the park, it's probably going to have the longest wait. Gotta love a good old Vekoma flyer. Too bad there's not many of these left. I actually think they're really fun rides. I actually kind of like them more than the B&Ms. Stealth, is that you? So I just took my first ride on Copperhead Strike, and I think that's a fantastic ride. I don't think it's the best mock coaster I've ridden. I don't think it's as good as Manta at SeaWorld San Diego. That's a sleeper hit, by the way. Like, you want a good airtime coaster, Manta at SeaWorld San Diego. This gets close to it. It has few moments, but it's a lot more inconsistent. There's some areas that are kind of bland and some areas that are really good. Like, I think the first half had some really good hang time and some really good airtime. The second half towards the end kind of dropped the ball a little bit, but I think the first half and the first part of the second half were good enough to make it my favorite in the park. Now, I do need to ride Fury again before I say that, but as of now, going off of my experience with Fury in the past, right now that is my favorite coaster in this park. So I gotta say, I was a little worried at first, because I saw a lot of people, you know, heading towards Copperhead, and then I realized all of them are going to the water park. So, it looks like this Fury is open. Okay, I see a line out here, so probably just telling people to go into the lockers and get a locker, which people are probably refusing to do, because that's just how it'd be like at a Cedar Fair park. So, let's go ahead, get on Fury. Alright, you're not going to like my opinion on it. It actually got worse for me. I was thinking I was going to enjoy this ride more, and I heard 2016 wasn't its best year. Looks like 2021 might not be its best year either, because I really don't enjoy it. Like, I think it's actually bad. Like, it doesn't do anything. Like, it's very forceless. It's very bland. The airtime is in this really weird spot, because like I think there's a sweet spot for airtime. Like, there's floater airtime. You want strong floater but not ejector. Like, that's good floater. This ride is barely ejector, but it's not in that sweet spot. You gotta have that sweet spot where it's like it's either floater or it's like really strong ejector. Like, you want strong floater or strong ejector. That's what you want in a ride, and this ride does weak ejector, which is just this weird point where I don't like the airtime on it. I just don't. It doesn't feel right. and the first half is just boring. There's no forces. There's no positives on this ride. Like, and I rode back row. This is the first time I've actually gotten back row on it, and I was hoping that was the issue I had last time. That drop doesn't do anything. There's no airtime on that drop. So I don't know. I don't like Fury. I'll give it benefit of the doubt, try it again later once the ride is like warmed up. But it seemed like it was running already really fast. So I'm not sure what to expect. I don't think I'm gonna like it anymore though. I'm gonna be honest. But let's go ahead, do Vortex, because that's right over here. I love me a good old-fashioned B&M. And the ones in the south run really, really fast. Like, all of them just run stupidly fast. Like, everything in Florida runs stupidly fast. The B&Ms at Six Flags Over Georgia run stupidly fast. And, of course, Vortex. Gotta ride Vortex. Alright, so after a ride on Vortex, Vortex honestly reminds me of Momongo back in Japan. Like, that's a good coaster. It's very, very similar. I think it's quite smooth. It's got snappy elements. It's what every good B&M, 90s B&M should be. I think we're gonna go head back to Fury though, try to get some rides on Fury. Hopefully it'll be running better. We'll see. Alright, so next up is Intimidator, the B&M Hypercoaster. The other B&M Hypercoaster. This is the shortest this line has been all day, because being right in the front of the park, as for any park, if your coaster's in the front of the park, it's always probably going to have the busiest line. So this is going to be the shortest line we'll probably get all day. Alright, so I just got off of Intimidator, and actually I kind of really like that ride. I remembered it being good, and honestly, yeah, the trims do hit a little bit hard. It's a bit inconsistent. It's definitely not as good as it was the first time I rode it. The trims are definitely hitting harder than it was 5 years ago when I rode it. But I think it's a unique hypercoaster. Instead of just having the floater hills like Mako, it kind of has the twists and turns, kind of like Fury, but not as, it's not like the main part of the ride like Fury is. Because I will always take airtime over twists and turns, but I think it's a unique take where it does have the twists and turns, and a lot of them are coming out of those airtime moments. So I think it's a fun ride overall. Will I take it over Fury? Actually, yes, I will. But that's just me being me, as usual. Alright, so I just got off of Afterburn, and I think it's a pretty fun invert. Not one of my favorites. I think it's like kind of like a mini Montu. Definitely not quite as intense as Montu. Montu's Batwing just... It kills you. It literally kills you. This one does not, but it's still quite good. Still quite good. Much shorter ride too. I think overall it's a pretty fun ride. Nothing too crazy. Definitely not the best invert. I was debating whether to ride it because it's not really that great of a coaster, but I haven't ridden a good PTC, like a good ride with like a PTC train, like, oh, good PTC trains, like I just need those. Because in Orlando we only have a GCI train and then we have a Gravity Group train. And I don't really like either one of those trains, I'm gonna be honest. Can't go wrong with a good old PTC train. I mean, really not much to say about this ride. It's a thing. I mean, the best part is PTC trains. I'm gonna be honest. That's literally the only reason to ride it. I just like PTC's trains. That's all. That's really the only reason I rode it. The ride doesn't do anything. There's no airtime. There's no anything on it. But it do have PTC trains. Alright, so I got off of Fury 325, and that thing actually really did speed up, so I don't know what to think of it yet. But, time for more Copperhead Strike. Okay, so I got another ride. on Copperhead Strike, and first one I got today was the first ride of the day. It was the first public train they sent out, so train was not warmed up. This one, it's been running all day. This coaster is so good. I do not understand the hate for mock coasters. Yeah, the launch doesn't do anything. It basically feels like a drive tire pushing you. Like a very weak one, not like Hulk drive tire, but you know. Like, it literally feels like you're just being pushed out of the station. Like, I get that, I get the complaint for the launch speed, but the loops, the ejector, the laterals, what is this ride? This ride is like, I wouldn't say it's as good as SeaWorld San Diego Manta. I still think that's the better mock coaster, but this has some crazy ejector. So it looks like it's about, oh no, they haven't even sent the train. I thought I heard it. That's the thing, the operations of the park this year are not good. Not that I can blame them too much. Most of the rides like Fury, you know, they're running 2 operators on a 32-person train. Copperhead a little less lenient on that because you got 8 seats to check if you got 2 people. That's not many. But yeah, they're consistently stacking 3 trains on this trip. Fury that they did get up to 4 people on platform at one point, and they were actually just rolling trains. Copperhead though, I haven't seen that.